One very quick question. Hi, how you doing?
Good.
How many dimensions do you think we live in?
3?
How many dimensions do you think we live in?
3.
Why 3?
Because Interstellar told me it was 3.
Thank you.
1.
I don't know, 4.
How many dimensions do you think we live in?
42.
I am the one, the way your son don't need a gun to get respect up on the street.
Last time, when we talked about string theory, we touched on dimensions and that there may be more than we think there are. But what even is a dimension? Why do we bother to think about it? And can thinking about it actually have any impact on how we find meaning? I'm Desh and welcome back to What Is This? According to the Oxford Dictionary, a dimension is an expansion for a derived physical quantity in terms of fundamental quantities raised to the appropriate power. Alright, let's instead commit a bit of a sin and go to our most trustworthy, deeply reliable, full, consistent friend, Wikipedia. Wiki does make it easier. It defines dimension as the minimum number of coordinates needed to specify any point within it. Okay, still doesn't tell us much, but at least we know what it is and what it is used for understanding. So, how many dimensions are there? The question itself has so many dimensions. As we establish with string theory, there are supposedly 10 dimensions, but we don't live in all of them. So let's narrow the question down a little. How many dimensions do we live in? We generally assume we live in 3 dimensions, and we are not really wrong here. Stephen Hawking assured us that all physical objects exist in 3 dimensions. Everything has a width and a height and a length. But there is another kind of length, a length in time. That fourth dimension is time itself. You would not give a time without a place, nor would you give a place without a time. Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson assures us that we are not prisoners of our 3-dimensional space, because we still have the freedom to move within it, forward, back, left, right, up, down. But we are prisoners in the present, because that the 4th dimension of time pushes us along from past to future, and we have no freedom to move between them. So how do we access this 4th dimension? Dr. Brian Greene tells us that we can get access to this 4th dimension. This would be time travel. There are 2 kinds of time traveling. For one, we could just simply travel near the speed of light for a while, come back home and find ourselves in the future. Or just chill near a black hole, let gravity do its thing, so that when we return home, we would also end up in a different point in the future. The future theoretically is not an issue. But time travel number 2, the past, is not so easily agreed upon. Many scientists don't believe that time travel to the past can be possible. We could make use of wormholes, where we essentially build a bridge from one location in space and time to another. But we have this pesky issue of, again, the when and where do we build it? And the when and where does it take us to? Never mind the question of should we? Well, save that question for another space and time. We're currently building a wormhole to another video. Even today, we find so fascinating to explore what we can't understand properly. And if it wasn't already simple enough to analyze it, remember that time is sensed so differently according to our brain activity. Time doesn't seem to flow at the same speed when we are having fun than when we are bored. Time doesn't feel as it flows at the same speed when we are sleeping. Sometimes we wake up in the morning and feel like we just had a 10-minute nap. Other times we have a very long dream after having slept for 15-20 minutes. Time truly remains a topic full of unanswered questions that for the moment is giving us a good time with our imagination and creativity.
Time gives legitimacy to its existence. Time is the only true unit of measure. It gives proof to the existence of matter. Without time, we don't exist.
Time is relative, okay? It can stretch and it can squeeze, but it can't run backwards. It just can't, right? The only thing that can move across dimensions like time is gravity.
5 minutes? What? We were talking for like at least an hour.
In a dream, your mind functions more quickly, therefore, time seems to feel more slow.
5 minutes in the real world gives you an hour in the dream.
So this may not be the most practical endeavor, but that does not make it one that is not meaningful. Whether or not we can access or experience it differently, simply knowing and noticing that time itself, in some sense, exists in terms of what we make of it, can be enough to get us to look at our world just a little bit differently. Maybe ask yourself, how are you making use of your little experience or phantom experience of the fourth dimension?